La. Hello, it's time. Start fresh in a new economy. Val essences, hitter essences, in-game changes. Alright, we go. How much reading is there here? That much. Areas of corruption on the Atlas now have a central corrupted nexus that is a source of affliction. In the areas leading up to the nexus, corruption will spill out. When you reach the nexus, you cleanse it. Completing the task is how you get the Atlas points now. So you go around the Atlas, find these things, cleanse them. A boss for each faction has been added in corrupted nexuses. So at the center of every single thing of corruption, there's a boss that are new. There's extra corruption monster factions, which this is a Scourge / Beyond. So how in Po 1 there's 3 types. That's also going to be a thing here. At least I assume the same thing probably. Visual animation, skill balance of corruption things. No longer at +1 area level, but more likely to have modifiers. Damn, experience is going to be rough. Cleansing nexus will cause surrounding maps to become cleansed maps, which have their own things, and drop fracturing orbs. 4 mods required for fracture. In order to open a corrupted nexus map, you have to have at least 4 mods. It's very easy to get 4 mod maps that have effectively 0 modifiers that make it harder, so that's not really an issue. One sec. You can now respawn and return to map if you die. Upon percent of the endgame, you can get it 6 times per. As you add more modifiers, the number goes down. In parties, everyone gets to respawn that number of times. You can enter and exit as much as you'd like if you haven't died. Interestingly, they kept this, so like you can get every single, you can get all your loot in your map if you want it. You can do lots of vending for gold, lots of stuff. Once you start a boss fight, the respawn system will change to require the map owner to collectively respawn the entire party. So if one person dies, they stay dead until the boss fight ends. If everyone dies, then the map owner can respawn. If you decide to rush to the map boss without doing the other content and then die, you respawn at the boss checkpoint and only the map boss will be present. All other monsters will be removed. This is to prevent cases where players will be able to farm multiple copies of the same rewards by dying on purpose. So if you go to if you're like halfway through a map and you die to the boss, everything else gets bricked. So don't die to the boss. Number of towers has been reduced drastically, but each one's more powerful. Tablets, except overseer tablets, inherently have twice as many mechanics as towers. Using higher tier raisins and towers increases the number of mechanics applied by tablets. By tier 15, the bonus is double, allowing a single tablet to now add 4 times as many things as before. So overseers are still only going to add what, like, if it's tier 15, like 14. So yeah, it's still not going to be easy to put a boss in everything, even though no spoiler sign. Oh, Power maps can now spawn with all extra content, including bosses. Number of maps affected by tablets has been doubled on average, and scale based on map tier. Killing rares required for completion no longer has a chance to grant monster modifiers to the remaining rare monsters. Killing rare monsters required for map completion no longer has a chance to grant. So this is why there was just like rare monsters had like 10 mods. There was some sort of like, whenever you killed a rare, it might pass mods to other things. This is the first time I've heard about this, but like this I guess explains why there were randomly just rares with 10 mods for no reason, I guess. If they remove this and get rid of the keystone, mapping's gonna be so chill. Increase the chance for them to have 3 or 4 modifiers, drop more items. This is to compensate for the removal from monsters granting them to other on death. This is good. A more consistent experience. I hope that keystone's gone still. The checkpoint now spawns when the last available optional content has been completed. Dynamic checkpoints, love that. Thanks to T1. Extra content now starts running further away from the home base, so don't stay near where you start mapping, doesn't really matter. How Waystones are obtained has been redesigned. Our intention is to make both sustaining Waystones much more reliable and less dependent on random elements. Interesting. They're still gonna just like randomly drop though, right? Not only from the last rare and bosses. I'll have to see how this plays. Waystones can no longer drop at a lower tier than the map you're in. Waystones drop at the map boss will always one tier higher. Final map bosses and the final naturally occurring rare monsters in tier 1 maps have a 100% chance. Scales down as you go up. But if you have a bunch of... Yeah, they're still sticking with this whole like Waystone suffix modifier thing. And they nerf base drops to compensate. Hopefully not by too much, because you really need to over sustain Waystones in this game because you can't roll them, so you need to over sustain by a lot so you can have good Waystones. Removed chances for Waystones to drop tier from the Atlas Pass tree and lowered the amount of Waystone quantity on the tree. Sources of boss drop Waystone higher have been replaced by increased quantity, because it's always guaranteed to be a tier higher, so that wouldn't do anything. Durrani now has up to 10 Waystones available to purchase, either at tier 1 or 1 tier below your highest completed tier. Interesting. I wonder how much gold these will cost. Like, And how often does he refresh? Like, can I just buy 10 T14s every single map, vendor them all up 3-1, and then roll to 15? 1 million per map? All again. Holy fuck. Okay, so Overseer tablets are worthless. Like, Breach was 10, Overseer was 7, and now Breach is 20, and Overseer is 4. You know, hypothetically. Assuming that those numbers are just double like they said. Prior to the tier buff. Well, it's gonna get doubled if you're in tier 15, so it'll be 8. But still, like, that is, like, there's 1/3 as many towers. Put in 3 Overseers. Yeah, I mean, if you really want to target Overseers, it'll be like, Overseer will be similar to what it was before, whereas all other League Waystones are twice as good as they were before. Or even better, so like, fuck the bosses, amen. Who cares, who needs them? They're just glorified rares anyways. Waystone chance is introduced as a result of new chances to drop Waystones. Unidentified now provide, oh, this was quantity. I didn't even think this was in the game, because they removed it from PoE1. But increased drop chance is worthless. No reason to ever run these things UNID'd. The first 5 different unique maps you complete grant 2 points for a total of 10 points. I don't know what that means. Just extra mods for new contents in the game. Buffed Untainted. New mechanic color combinations has been added. Select mods on 2 items, hoping to get the best element of each single item. When you select more mods, the chance of success decreases. If you're not successful, items will be destroyed. Buffed Overseer tablets for ritual. Nerf sustain tablet. Nerfed tablet quantity and rarity. And pack size and gold. And breaches. Removed the additional rare monster. Made sim easier. All bosses that are affected by difficulty, and Sim can drop all of their unique items at any difficulty. However, rare uniques are even rare at low difficulties, and also applies to reliquary keys. Reliquary keys existing are going to be the primary thing that makes you always want to do difficulty 4 if you can. Pinnacle boss content, half as much time to unlock as before, and 0 is easier. And you no longer lose experience for dying inside of Pinnacle boss content. So there's no more reason to like wait until you level up to go do this content. You can just walk into it whenever you have it in softcore. Reduce the power of notables on the League Atlas tree for acquiring logbooks, breach splinters, sim splinters, and Knowledge of the King. So they made it easier to acquire these invites, and then they nerfed the post-boss completion points that made it easier. So the content's like less reliant on having the points to feel good. Their encounters have a floor for minimum sim splinters. Base number of monsters in Delirium reduced, number that emerge by touching fractured mirrors greatly increased, made fog less annoying, nerfed breach, and breach is more front loaded, nerfed breach. Box is buffed, omen's more common. Atlas passive tree changes. Added support for new spirits and access to the tree, more notables to make the tree more interesting. The Atlas passive tree in its original state was like really boring. And like, not something that, I mean, it was just, you know, 30 points of get like 1% more loot, very bland. Hopefully the new tree is a little more choice that matters. The things they tease look like it's probably a bit better. Deadly Evolution, was this the one that, I'm literally logged into the game, God bless. Thank fucking God. Which causes your maps to have chance to contain extra random content and less, so more chance to have extra random shit and less number of packs in the map by default. These 2 changes to this keystone and to that whole like rare system, hopefully is gonna make the experience of mapping like so much more pleasant. You're gonna get less loot, let's be clear, like you're gonna get less loot because that keystone was broken as fuck, but like you're not gonna be fighting these like 8 Archdem rares every single screen with like ground effects everywhere. So I think this is gonna feel a lot better to play. Like, there's not going to be so many ground effects. Yeah, more nerfs to breach stuff. Order the workaround a common crash event with immediate hardware. I don't know what this means. Some crash fixing thing. Reforging stuff's been repositioned. Strong boxes can appear earlier in the game. Ooh, visually burned grass. Minion performance improvements. They made escape shot and toxic growth a little bit better. Made it harder to skip the elevators in Ultimatum. Grenades have a small amount of random variation and travel distance to make overlaps worse, I assume. And coverage better. Alright. We're here, player changes. Fuck me up, fuck me up, fuck me up, fuck me up, fuck me up. Let's go. Characters are now deleted upon killing the Miller. Oh. Characters are now required to be at least level 25 to enter Cruel and 50 to enter endgame areas. I assume this was like some power leveling thing, who knows. Players' base attack speed while unarmed is now 1.4. So you attack faster while unarmed, but then the unarmed skills attack slower to compensate. I don't know what that means, cool. It's harder to freeze everything in the game. Player base ammo threshold is now half instead of all max life. Holy shit, that is a lot. Presence space radius is lower than it was before. I don't know what things use presence in this game. I'm not too familiar with this, but god damn, you're gonna get frozen and stuff a lot. It's only ailment, not stun, thank god. Monster modifiers stolen from rare monsters. Half player versions now. The Cruel version of Candlemass now provides less life. RIP 3% life. The Worn Sandals now grants less movement speed if you've been hit by an enemy recently instead of just always reduced. Yo, I love that, because obviously you should never get hit. That's so much better. I'm gonna be a Sanctum, like, a Sanctum Enjoyer next patch. Like, I'm gonna be in Sanctum with 95% move speed relics the entire league. Blocking a hit by raising your shield or parrying gives you a chance to avoid accumulating heavy stun buildup equal to the chance you would have otherwise had to evade the hit. To evade the hit, but only evade, not block. Unified stun mechanics and terminology between players and monsters. Stagger the players suffer from blocking too much damage with their shield. Raise is now a heavy stun. Players are still under the heavy stun unless mechanics states otherwise. So yeah, if your shield or your parry bar goes to 100%, you are going to be stunned long enough that you should pause and revive at checkpoint. I think this means you're stun immune when you're shield raising, right? Like until you get heavy stunned at the end. Modifiers to curse effect have been changed. Hits that apply to curse magnitude means they are multiplicative with any of the modifiers to the effect of from the target. For example, curse magnitude and slow magnitude are not multiplicative with each other for temporal chains. Cool. Player created objects such as ice crystals no longer have a monster power value. Ice crystals no longer apply on kill effects. Well, what kind of weird buggy shit was Rue or Jung doing with this? Players have 50% more light stun threshold per time stunned in the past 4 seconds. Previously 25% in the past 6. So there was like some kind of like light Brine King effect that existed. Now it's a little better to help you. Basically, if you get stunned, it is harder for you to be stunned for 4 seconds. And if you get stunned again, it's even harder to help prevent chain stuns. Your heavy stun bar doesn't start emptying until heavy stun animation is finished. Heavy stun duration on players is now 3 seconds. So yeah, if you get heavy stun from your shield, like capping out your stagger, you are fucked. Cannot block or evade hits. Get that burp, get it? Hope that came through on the mic. Did, very nice. Good. Crit weakness now tracks duration individually. This refreshed? Why the fuck did that refresh? They're crazy. When I read this mechanically, it was obvious that it would all be individual durations. Why would that ever refresh? That was silly. Pin targets can no longer evade, and pinning them also makes them light stunned. Base duration of charges is now 15 instead of 20. Fully broken armor now causes enemies to take increased damage from hits. That's a pretty nice little buff there. Love that. Is that going to also apply to me? Probably. This makes getting your armor broken as like an evasion character more relevant if it does. And I think it will. Like, you are the mob's enemy, so like I'm pretty sure that'll make you take more damage. Revival minions now spawn with this goes on cooldown. The newly summoned minion instead of just revived. So you could like turn them on and off repeatedly and like press gas arrow with your fucking skill bar open. Oh, nice. They made Fist of War a little better. At double 20%, Fist of War was so bad. It's still pretty mediocre, but like, it's good. A small buff. It probably should be like 50 and 30 or some shit. Like, it's pretty weak. But persistent minions granted by points will not automatically be summoned when you allocate it for the first time. Weird. Players or monsters now only count as moving while moving, rather than for the whole length of many animations that have some movement during some part of them. I don't know how much I care about that. Setting a stat to a specific value, such as CI, now occurs before conversions apply to that stat. This is so you can't use Ghost Wraith and CI, right? Alright, Ascendancy changes. Who's getting nerfed? Also the mana amulet. Well, you don't have 0 mana, you have a bunch of mana. This should only be like the helmet if you were like Lich and Ghost Wraith as CI. I'm not sure what the BM things were. Like Blood Magic with the amulet would have done that, but I don't know if anyone ever played Blood Magic with the amulet. Surprising strength, Ascendancy notable, even more damage versus heavy stun targets, Earthbreaker, extra chance for Aftershock, slight buff to Titan. That's a lot of changes to Warbringer. The Warcaller's Bellow now causes Warcallers to explode corpses. Instead of providing corpses in your presence explode. So they detached it from presence. So it's instead based on your Warcry area. You can scale it with Warcry area, but it's not for free 6 meters of radius. Turtle Charm Ascendancy now has less of a penalty to make it even easier. I think this makes it so it's actually not like trolling to take, right? Isn't this like a little better? at 25. In case Jade skill has been reworked, now consumes all 6 of Jade to grant guard based off your maximum life for each Jade set consumed. I need numbers to know what this means, and if it still stuns you, self-stuns you. Ancestral Spirit skills granted by Answered Call now have some little stat mechanics. Ancestral Jade pinning skill. This is some minion shit. I don't care. More rage on hit from whatever this buff is. The enhanced effectiveness Ascendancy skill now also grants less attributes. Which one is that? Is that the one that gives you double the effect of attributes? I assume it is. Ha! I'm surprised they went with Ascendancy nerfs instead of nerfing the actual items that are scaling the stats. But they probably double tapped it though. Integrated efficiency thing has swap positions with gem studded. Melee provides +3 slots. Instead, it now causes skills to gain increased damage per socketed red support gem, increased skill speed per socketed green support gem, and skills gain increased crit per blue. I think most people probably didn't really make good use of this. Makes sense. Now just some stats. Double tap. Sorry, triple tapped. The implanted gem sense no longer provides +1 level skills. Now provides a choice between +2 of all skills with strength, +2 dex, +2 int. So likely better for some setups and worse for others, kind of based on what you're doing. I think in a lot of cases that's just a buff, probably. Like how often are you doing damage with skills of different stat requirements? It's like, for like the Herald case, Heralds are hybrid skills, right? So it's a lot easier to have that. The No Mercy now causes you to do more damage just missing concentration, just a little buff. Obsessive Rituals provides less of a penalty to armored evasion, and they made Sorcery Ward recharge faster. No idea how good this is. Have to ask Waggle. He played that a lot. The Thrilling Chase Ascendancy now provides when you consume Frenzy charges, you count as having consumed twice as many. So they buffed the Frenzy thing on Deadeye and changed nothing else. Deadeye still OP as fuck. Well, again, Deadeye, 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 Deadeye. Pathfinder. Running Assault now grants 50% less penalty instead of 30% less. Oh, and it's closer. I like that a lot. The Kinetic Chemistry thing has been removed. Connected Chemistry Ascendancy has been removed. I need to pull up the sheet for this, like a passive tree thing. That's 50% increased charges. That's what I thought it was. Well, it was more, right? It's a nerf for builds that needed a ton of flash charges, maybe. But for a lot of builds, I didn't even want this node. Like, this felt like a dead node. So for a lot of cases, this could be nice. Out of the new multi-choice practical remedies thing, the provides the ability to allocate grounding stick, so you get immunity to an ailment of your choice. Out of the new sustainable practice thing, which provides evasion, also grants elemental damage reduction. What does that even mean? Like if you have 10k evasion, 3300 of this is like applying to elemental damage reduction against all hits, even ones that aren't evadable. Using what formula? Chance to hit formula, PDR formula. They mean evade chance? That's kind of what I assume is that it's evade chance, but then what does that mean for, like, wouldn't they use they would say 30% of chance to evade, not evasion rating. Broken knows the same wording. So it's probably using the fizz damage reduction formula, but for LEDR instead. Didn't they change it in this game so that LE damage reduction happens before? Or no, that only matters for the armor formula, which is probably this. But I think the LE damage reduction happens before resist now, not after, which makes it like really bad unless you have a ton of it. It's like going to be an alternative to aggro if you have like a ton of evasion. Could be a thing. I don't know. We'll see. Need to see numbers and math. Embrace the Darkness now provides plus darkness per level. This is good. Darkness was so fucking bad before. Mana Leech now applies on all damage types, and they fixed that thing. The no hit run abuse cheese. Nerfed Evoker by a little bit. Took some spirit away as well. Made the procs a little better. Blood Barb's Ascendancy no longer provides damage extra physical and not cause ability inflict on curse seems to be aggravated. Cool. The Meditate nerf. Out of the new Between the Cracks, Ascendancy passive skill cause hits, crits to ignore armor. Is monster armor that big of a deal? I haven't looked at any of that. Infernalist. The demon form skill granted by this thing now has a cooldown of 15 seconds from 20. Maximum demon form of 10 instead of being uncapped. There's a flat amount of life per second, scaling with skill level rather than percent. And they nerf. Wow. What the fuck? Jesus. So demon form's dead. No more like balancing your life to a low amount and getting flat life regen and having like super overtime demon form. Seething body thing now has on high infernal flame. You and your allies near presence gain 50% as fire. That's a lot higher. Big number there. Buffed crit dam bonus. Your infernal flame drains way faster now. Yeah, it's hard to sustain high flame. I'm sure it's possible. It requires some effort. But if you're spamming your own skills like constantly, it's gonna be hard. If you're like a minion infernalist, it's a little easier to like sit a higher flame and just like cast weird shit. Low mana cost stuff to maintain it. Bringer of Flame Ascendancy skill causes all damage from you and allies presence to contribute to ignite chance and magnitude. So there's just no longer the Infernal Flame requirement. It's just all damage can ignite basically with no conditional now. Detonate dead, ignite, log in, let's go. Low health hound no longer does anything. Why didn't they just delete the node? Master out Ascendancy skill now grants. Yeah, so instead of it being uncapped and then you capped it with a point, it's the opposite where you uncap it with a point. Small mana Ascendancy skill now grants less increased mana. Get fucked. And some weird stuff here to prevent abuse cases. Blink. Chronomancer. Circular heartbeat has been removed. That's the recoup node. Rest in peace, recoup. Raptor River no longer has a prerequisite. I mean, I don't really care about recoup anyways. Quicksand Hourglass thing now grants every 10 seconds, gain 50% more by 5 seconds instead of every 12 or 4. A little better, but still, like, if it's more damage, then like you can do some ailment stuff with it, but like more cast speed like this, never something really I'm excited about. They have Unleash now as a Ascendancy thing. Stormweaver, Arcane Surge scaling is weaker. Exposure weaker, no longer fluctuates shock duration, instead it messes with the magnitude, which is probably weaker. Small mana thing, ooh, no longer provides any max mana at all, and now it's a tiny bit of regen. So some Stormweaver mana nerfs. Passive skill tree changes. There's a bunch of extra points. A new quiver related cluster. Bleeding to always be aggravated by default, but base bleeding duration is 1 second. I kinda like that, it's a neat little keystone. Stare. Nerfed aggro even more. 12 jewel sockets have been removed from the passive tree. Existing characters with jewels in these sockets can reclaim them in their main inventory. 12 jewel sockets. All right, let's find them. That's an Atlas tree. Along the edge. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yep, it's gonna be the corner ones probably. I mean, how many builds did you see that like went to the edge and then just instantly did like a big circle around the edge, just getting only jewels? Because passive tree points, you know, suck for the most part for a lot of builds. Like the passive tree in general is very weak. And self-found, I never really had that problem of jewel stacking to that degree because you didn't get jewels that were that good, but the tree is pretty weak, so it really incentivized that for a lot of builds. EV now has the additional property of doubles mana cost. Oh, Jesus. Giant's Blood now has triple attribute requirements of martial weapons, previously only affected axes, maces, and swords. I think this is just a wording change, doesn't actually do anything, probably to future-proof stuff, right? Cat-like agility now provides increased evasion. Ooh, evasion buffs, love that. Nerfed the deck stack node. Freedom movement now provides 10% reduced penalty for using skills instead of some evasion, so a little bit less penalty for stopping. Heavy buff for Little Plus skill now grants 5% of damage taken by passes ES. Lich buff, instead of 10% reduced max life, so you can't play it on CI anymore at all. This point is gone from CI unless you're like a Lich, but Lich buff, well again, if you'll clear and die. Hopefully not in hardcore, but in softcore, yeah, probably. Nerfed free stuff, nerfed some mana points. Is that this one here? Yeah. More mana nerfs. Master Reflection notables now provides increased bonus from quiver, 20 instead of 30. The travelers are 6 instead of 10. And they removed the points after and gave some pretty mediocre ones. I mean, these points aren't terrible, but the quiver nodes, you're not going to take them until you actually have a good quiver, instead of them being like the first thing you click, even with like no quiver at all. But you're still gonna take these, it's just like a little less scaling. Pile on now grants increased arm break duration, or arm break effect, not duration. Telepathy nerfed, mana nerfed. I think that's probably a nerf to attribute stackers, but maybe a buff to people with smaller amounts. Nerfed spaghetti! Split the Earth notable passive skill has chance for matrix skills to cause aftershocks. They just added a distance to it. My movement speed! Where's unhindered? Okay, I didn't have that. And then my builds were fine. Yo! Unwavering is actually useful. Let's fucking go. Like, this is actual stun immune. Because the only other kind of stun is heavy stun. And as far as I know, the only heavy stun in the game right now is if your stagger bar fills up, right? Or yeah, falling off the mount. Bosses can heavy stun. I've never seen a boss heavy stun. I don't know what boss can do that currently, but maybe in the future, maybe. But this makes this like a little bit less trolling to take. Yeah, it removes your dodge roll, yeah. And before, like, it removed your dodge roll and then made it so your stun threshold was doubled, which just made it so you got stunned a little bit less. But now it's like you actually will not get light stunned ever, which is effectively stun immune for like 99.9% of scenarios. So like it's actually like it's not trolling now to take it. Like you're still not going to, probably just because dodge roll iframing proj is so strong, but like, can you blink if you have unwavering? I've never tried. I assume no, because it like replaces dodge roll, but dodge roll's disabled. So bosses are balancing design around dodge roll. Yep. It'd be pretty rough, but better than it was before. Small attack damage with nearby ally passive skill and the killer instinct cluster has been replaced with some other little small thing that doesn't really matter. Nerfed auras. Skill changes. Is that the entire rest of the section? Skill changes, support changes, unique item changes, monster changes. Oh baby. Mini skills have had their base damage and or damage with equivalent rebalanced. Oh shit. I kind of thought they might do this. Just like not even include all the changes because like there's too many, but I guess we'll get the data mine when the patch hits. The mana cost for all attacks, marks, and markers has been reduced, most notably at higher gem levels. Maybe mana cost being higher than your mana pool was a bad thing. Adjusted minion damage and life scaling. General damage and life same early game, but lower than before at higher levels. God fucking bless. Always nerf minions until they don't exist anymore. Adjusted the target life threshold for skeletal arsonist explosive demise skill. I don't know what that means. Fuck minions. Arc no longer does more damage per remaining chain and chains way more often and does more damage, right? Archmage causes non-training skills to gain 3% extra lightning per 100 max mana at all gem levels. So they cost more mana, they get less scaling. Instead of, what was it? Was it 8% or was it 9%? Now it's 3, and you get like 10 mana back or 10 spirit back. A lot of the damage changes are not on here. Yeah, yeah, probably. Because if they removed that, like more damage per remaining chain and didn't change the damage at all, like it's just like XD. Oh damn. Armor breakers had the armor break amount lowered. Artillery ballista base fizz damage now matches that of other totems. It did 90% conversion, so weird. Paladin that provides 0 to minus 0.4 seconds of totem mace attack time. The Strabora totem states that it was a 2-handed mace. Quality is now extra duration, a little more than before. 0.4 duration quality. X. Banner skills are still not instant, so I don't care. Barrage repeats do less damage at all gem levels, previously at 15%. 560 to 410 repeats at time is now added, so it's cooldown. Maximum of 30. I'm confused. Barrage, when it launched, was like basically not even worth pressing because you would do less damage than attacking without Barrage. They buffed it like 2 weeks in to the point where it was actually like it was a good button to press that made you do more damage, and now it's back to like pressing Barrage will make you do less damage than if you didn't press Barrage, which sucks because Barrage is like, this is the kind of skill and like gameplay I wish there was more of. Like an extra utility button that has a cooldown that you press when combat calls for it. Barrage is a hunter skill. What do you mean? This is a bow thing that's already in the game. Like this is the kind of shit that I wish there was more of, where it's like, oh, I'm coming up to a rare, I'm gonna fucking power up, I'm gonna use extra buttons and I'm gonna fuck them up. But at that value, I think unless you have like a bunch of frenzies, it's just not a thing. I mean, it's probably just because they buffed Deadeye's frenzy charge node and they're like, fuck Barrage. No more self, like a little ward loop stuff with this. It's only from enemy hits, not your own hits. Bleeding Concoction is better. At least now a travel skill. Bone Blast, more bleeding. Bone Storm Shadows become a generic mechanic called Impale. Yo! Someone to Impale from Pathfinder Exile 1. Hits that Impale. Cause the next attack hit against that enemy to gain added fizz damage equal to 30% of the fizz damage dealt by the impaling hit. So this the flat mechanic removed, and now it's percentage based. Cast on Minion Death now only gains energy when persistent minions are killed. No more SRSs. And if you use low-level minion gems, you get less energy. Cast on Shock now gains 1 energy per power of energy shock with hits from skills instead of 2. Cluster grenades, mini grenade explosion, more radius. Combat frenzy cooldown is like 3 times higher. Make it a little harder to maintain buffs, like the charge staff thing, and to get charges in general. Concoction skills now require an unarmed weapon set. Concoction skills now require an unarmed weapon set. They no longer do your base unarmed damage, instead dealing only attack damage from the skill itself, and they consume more charges. So no more Widow Hail Quiver, and they consume more charges, and the charge node on Pathfinder is gone. Curses nerfed. Cold this was 0.7, that's so wild. Cold Step now has a radius where it might actually hit a second monster. What the fuck? That's the wrong direction. There's no reason for this delay to exist. This is just bad. This is like one of the things that heavily contributes toward PoE2 being exclusively one button builds is this. Like, I'm not waiting a second for my curse to go off on a rare. I'm just gonna attack instead. 1.5? Nah. Dark Effigy Proj now has a crit of 7 instead of 11. That sounds like something minion related, or at least close to minions. Close enough to minions that we don't care. Decompose. They nerfed Corpse Blades % stuff in half. Despair. Worse. DD now has gem level scaling. I love that this exact same thing happened in Pathfinder Exile 1, and they fixed it to have gym level scaling, and then this game comes out and they didn't have gym level scaling. But now it has gym level scaling, and it is about half as good at the end game. I don't know if that matters. We'll see. There's got to be some other nerfs on top of it that also nerf it in various other ways. Because like even in Self-Found, like this shit just like one-shot every boss in the game, but it was just like super clunky. Minion scaling nerf? Yeah, probably. But then the arrows explode radius is now 2.4 instead of 1.8. Direct minions has a cooldown. Delete minions from the game. Elemental invocation now gains energy per power of enemies you freeze. 10 per power instead of 10 always, I guess what that is. 2 energy per power, modified by the percent of enemies and what this all the ignite will deal. Nerfed for shock. Escape shot has extra free stuff. Explosive concoction is bigger ignites. Explosive grenade is now 7-second cooldown instead of 3. Now has higher explode radius in the early game and a detonation time of 3 instead of 2.5. So crossbows are going from one-handed to two-handed damage values. I mean, this cooldown basically just guarantees you could never play this as a primary skill. This will only ever be like supplemental. Eye of Winter now gains, yeah, and hit longer explode as well. Eye of Winter now gains damage as corresponding type when passing over elemental ground. So if it's passing over like fire ground, it does extra fire damage. Never knew that. Weird. Falling Thunder Proj now have more damage per power charge consumed, a lot more. Fireball no longer bypasses the Raging Spirit limit. Fireball, less FPS explosion. They nerfed crit weakness, yeah. They made the duration scaling work the way it always should have, where each individual hit is its own duration instead of it refreshing. Firebolt now has a maximum downward tilt against closer targets, making it harder to overlap. Firestorm crit nerf. Flame Blast now has a cooldown and does less damage. What? Yeah, it's bigger. Like maybe I hate that they just did this. I almost would rather not have patch notes at all than to have patch notes with like them just saying like, oh, by the way, we're just like not gonna give you the full picture until data mining. So it's like this might make sense. Like this might make sense if there's like some big damage change to it as well, to make it so like it's designed to be like a supplemental single target thing only and not like its own primary skill. But like when only having half the information, this just looks like really weird. Spellhammer the Gods, yeah, kinda, I guess. I know Pack played this on like pretty early on. Flame Wall now has like half the added damage, but it's unnerfed in the early game in the campaign early on. Flammability nerfed. Flash Grenade buffed. Crossbows are going to be OP. Fragmentation rounds. Base Explode is now 1.8. Frost Bomb has a pulse and explosion radius. They buffed Frost Bomb. Log in. I assume there's going to be some nerfs to Frost Bomb in the, the tuning that just isn't included. But Frost Bomb buff, log in. Frost Wall, higher cooldown. Frozen Locust. Don't even know what that is. Buff Concoction. Guys, stop Alka LFGing. Stop it. Stop it. Galvanic Shards now has more Convert to Lightning, but I think the beams from these already had 100%, so like this makes it a little easier to shock with the upfront hit. A limit of what the fuck? I think this kind of mainly just means you can't really pre-stack, and if you're playing pure gas arrow, like you need to instantly explode every attack. You can't like cover the whole screen. Damn, that sucks. That's not good. Like one of the most fun ways of playing gas arrow was when you just like kind of walked around through like a big area and covered like the entire area in gas, waited patiently to let it expand, because gas has a literal delay mechanic where when you wait, it gets bigger, and then you blow it all up at once and the whole screen like explodes. But you can't be doing that with 6. Glacial Bolt Walls now last longer. Glacial Casing quality is different. Grim Feast can no longer be engraved in the gem cutting menu. Existing Grim Feast gems have been disabled. We aim to rewrite this in the future. Amen. That's what I thought was gonna happen to Grim Feast. Like, gone. This is like Ghost Shrouds are gonna get a lot more use now. Rest in peace, Grim Feast. Hammer, oh fuck. Hammer of the Gods no longer has a cooldown. This is a buff, but now requires 20 glory to use. Glory is a resource that gets built up by heavy stunning enemies. The amount of glory gained is based on the stun monster's power. Quality is now extra radius with no numbers. No, it's not removed. It's just like, so this is obviously, we just don't have the information until we get the data mine information on like what this actually means. It's very possible that for like an actual like stun invested 2-handed mace build that's stunning like every single monster you ever fight, that you'll still be able to use this quite a lot. But like if you're like some crossbow guy that's like weapon swap Hammer of the Godsing, like probably not. I guess Flash Grenade, it does heavy stun a lot, but it also basically makes it worthless on bossing. Unless, I'm going to hope and assume that heavy stunning the boss gives you 20 glory. If heavy stunning a unique monster does not give you 20 glory, then it's like worthless. Assuming it does give you 20 glory for a heavy stun, which it probably should, then you only get to press it once per heavy stun. And heavy stunning bosses has built-in diminishing returns. Like each time you do it, it's harder the next time to heavy stun them again. So you're only gonna get like, what is it, 2 or 3 Hammer of the Gods for the entire boss fight, or at least for a long time. So you need to have a lot of dam to make it meaningful, and you're gonna have to actually do damage with non-Hammer of the Gods. Like you don't just Hammer of the Gods, walk in a circle for 20 seconds, Hammer of the Gods. You're gonna have to like actually fight, and then you miss, don't miss. I hope you're gonna actually get to use it a lot when like mapping. If you're like heavy stunning the entire screen with like every attack, I hope you can actually press it a lot still. I assume you can. Like 1 glory per normal rarity monster probably. 2 per magic, 5 per rare, 20 per unique, probably. Could be cool. The way it worked before was not really healthy. It needed to get changed. We'll see how it feels once we actually get numbers. You can't ever stun dead enemies. I'm pretty sure if you one-shot them, they get stunned. Or they still count as being stunned. If they didn't, then you wouldn't be able to proc Armor Explodes, right? Which we were doing that before. Like, if the hit would heavy stun them, and it also kills them, they'll get heavy stunned. Hand on Chile now, so that does things to marks. Herald skills with attack hits now properly state their hits cannot be evaded. I didn't even know that. Neat. Herald of Ash, explosion radius buffed. This is a buff. Herald of Ash, quality, does stuff. I don't care. Herald of Ice, explosion radius nerfed. Herald of Thunder, impact radius nerfed. Wait a second. Wait a second. To the bug fix section. Did they put it here? It's not in the bug fix section? Just keep reading? Okay. Hex Blast can not only apply curses for hypothermia, now causes... Bro. That is so clunky. 1.5 second delay to apply a curse, and then wait for half the duration to expire, and then you can blow it up. If you have multiple travel skills with cooldowns, the cooldowns are not shared. So you cannot shield charge and blink. Are there other travel skills in the game that have cooldowns? Like Leap Stone has no cooldown. At least, I mean, wait, does it have a cooldown now? It didn't have a cooldown last patch. Like Blink's a travel skill, charge is a travel skill. I think for now, I think that just means no blink and shield charge for now. There could be more in the future, but for now. Chronomancer Rewind, yeah, that might as well. And Spears might have some too, we'll see. I don't expect, so like, travel, like the travel tag doesn't go on every single skill that moves you normally. It's for skills that are like kind of designed for movement. So like if a spear skill like teleports you to the target and it's like a 2-yard teleport, or like the monk teleports, those typically don't have travel skill tags, I think. Improve ball lightning description to clarify the ball itself is enemies. Improve cleric behavior so that to reduce cases where they would run at enemies and fight them. Incinerate, less of a penalty on ignite. Leap Slam, more stun build-up scaling. Lightning Conduit now performs a number of extra bolts if it continues to shock from an enemy. These bolts are distributed among targets in the area, but can hit the same target multiple times if few enough targets were hit. Now does 20% more per 5 instead of 100% more per 5. And I think they also nerfed shock as well. Lightning Rod arrow now does after being changed 6 times instead of 14 times. They take 1 second to charge up before releasing a lightning burst when chained. Lightning arrows that chain to lightning rod arrow. Lightning arrows that chain to lightning rod arrows cause the pulse to happen instantly. So if you proc them with like Orb of Storm, they have a charge up time. If you use the intended skill that they want you to use to proc them, it's instant instead of a charge up. I feel like this is a really clunky way to nerf Orb of Storms and like cast on shock. I assume if you chain to them like 10 times in 1 second, they'll just like despawn and like not even explode. If they do still explode, then they're still gonna do like insane damage with Orb of Storms. It'll just be like clunkier. It's already delayed. We'll see how this feels. I mean, this is important that it's still smooth and quick when you use Lightning Arrow. No more Shock Round. I bet bows are still gonna be OP as fuck. Magnetic Spray now does extra damage. Magnetic Salvo does more damage, but impact, less damage with the explosion. Now fires 8 missiles instead of 17. 12 with this, but no damage thing. Mana Tempest quality now grants additional damage gained as lightning instead of causing the effects to linger, which did not actually function. Damn, that sucks they never fixed this. Because like, if this actually worked, it would have created some kind of interesting gameplay with like dropping it, leaving it, maintaining the linger, pressing it again, kind of stuff, but it never worked. Sheila duration increase on this thing. Malice slight buff, but they nerfed crit weakness to the way it should have always been, where the durations are individual, so it won't be like permanent or anything. Molten Blast dual wielding buff. Wasn't this like already good? Huge buff. Huge buff. Pain Offering's Aura now grants increased damage instead of more damage, but also grants a little bit higher speed. Pretty big nerf to Offering. Perfect Strike no longer always ignites, now has an even slower attack speed. Quality now gives Ignite chance. Perfect Strike also now deals damage in a wider area close to the player. No longer always ignites. I don't know if I really care. We just don't have the numbers what actually is changing about Perfect Strike. Because the very first line of the skill balance says everything is changed and we're not going to tell you what the numbers are. Like, Perfect Strike hits so hard that the removal of always ignites, it hits so hard of pure fire damage, you're just going to ignite anyways. If they didn't change the damage. But it is slower by a little bit. Permafrost Bolts now skill freeze build up. Play Barrier now stores very slightly more damage. Poison Concoction. Base physical instead of chaos is really good, right? Because it's a lot easier to scale the hit, the pre-mitigation hit. Because there's so little support for increased chaos. And kills Withering Touch. I'm not sure what that is. And you can leech and stuff too. Yeah, true, there's leech. I think that's a good thing. Perfect Ritual, weird stuff. Raging Spirits last longer. A lot more time to summon. Improve the performance of spawning very high amounts of them. Rain of Arrows landing frequency is now affected by project modifiers, meaning that, for example, increased project speed causes the same amount of arrows to land in a shorter time. Cool. Yo, Rolling Slam is a little bit faster. All we gotta do is make that a 0. Let's go. Sacrifice is nerfed, so minions respawn a lot slower. An extra little DD nerf. Custom Crate no longer has increased work high speed. Shard Scavenger now instantly reloads your crossbow upon continued freeze. What the fuck? Concoction slight buff because it got nerfed. Shattering Point Explosions now have an additional random delay. The Shards of Ice now cannot be applied to targets if the Shattering Palm damaging strike broke an existing ice shard on them. An additional random delay. What is... Can corpses that have these still explode after the delay? I assume so. We'll have to see. Shield Ball segment life past level 20 has different scaling. Shock Chain Arrows can now chain very far away. Siphoning Strike, higher radius. Skeletal Arsonist, Explosive Demise skill. This is their DD. Does less damage, has bigger. Explode. Skeletal Brute quality now causes brutes to inflict more stun buildup instead of having increased max life. Another DD nerf. Fuck DD. Skeletal Frost Mage's Ice Bomb has a higher cooldown. Reavers, minions. Snipe speed multiplier and mana cost has been adjusted so that the attack time matches the time until a perfect strike. Function unchanged. Okay. Stormwave has higher shock chance. Soul Offering now grants increased instead of more damage. Spark now fires 4 to 9 instead of 6 to 14. No longer has increased proj speed. Now provides increased proj speed instead of extra proj. So from at level 20, 18 to 9, so cut in half, about what I expected. And then also, well, there's no base proj speed nerf here as well. But yeah, that's about what I expected. I have no clue why Spark shot out 24 proj. Or like whatever the number was. Like, that was kind of weird. Makes sense. Spiral Volley now has more damage per point the touch consumed. Sunder is faster. Interesting. So Rolling Slam and Sunder are less shit. You know, that still probably kind of bad to use, but like less shit. Stampede quality nerfed. Stormblast bolts no longer have less reload speed. Is that the good crossbow single target skill? I think it is, right? It's not. That's Shock Burst. Oh, okay, yeah. Shock Burst good, Storm Burst bad. Stormcaller Arrows bolt now has less chance to shock. Still has a ton of chance to shock. Tempest Spell impact now deals the same damage at low levels, less damage at high levels. Now requires 10 combo instead of 4. The bell blows up after 10 hits instead of 10 to 19. And quality is worse. Shockwave no longer has more damage per stuff affecting the bell or any conversion. And the Shockwave itself was like cut in half. Can it only trigger, ooh, a cooldown, ooh. And you can only have one of them. Yeah, so quarterstaff stuff was in like a really bad spot from like a design perspective. It's more damage per bell, not less. 132 instead of 211. 30% of physical is extra for each type matching instead of more damage per ailment on the ball. How's it How is it more? I'm pretty sure it's gonna do like a third of the damage it used to, if that. And you can't stack them, but like quarterstaff, talking about the impact, oh yeah, the impact is higher. Yeah, you're right. But like the shockwave is where the damage comes from, but yeah, the impact is higher. But bells, like the difference between using no bell versus bell was probably like at least double dam, if not more. Like bell did so much fucking damage. And then if you use like 4 bells, it was really dumb. Makes sense, that got fucked up. The on-kill effects of Herald skills can no longer trigger from kills caused by Herald skills. The on-kill effects of Herald skills can no longer trigger from kills caused by Herald skills. So that is just the removal of Herald chaining. Yes, sir. Tornado shot can be used with spears. Weird bow stuff, minions, stun, weird volcanic fissure, another grenade nerf to like a big cooldown increase. Wind Dancer now grants 10% more at all gem levels instead of 19% more, and gains stages a little bit faster. Gale Force deals a little bit more damage, but no one cares about the damage. Stages are not consumed by being hit by an enemy. Oh, that's the big nerf right there. I didn't really get, like, Wind Dancer gave you more evasion, which works on projectiles, but then when you get hit by a projectile, you didn't lose stacks. Like, it was only melee that made you lose stacks. Wind Dancer's stage gain timer is no longer interrupted when you're hit, and one less stage. So yeah, Wind Dancer, pretty big nerf, still really good, I think. Withering Presence, Wither stuff, Withering of the Wither. Yeah, it's like 30% more evasion instead of like 80% more, or like 70% more. But the knockback is there. Skills with expanding ground effects, unintentionally scaling radius over time instead of area effect. What is radius over time? Oh, because they're expand. I see. The poison cloud and gas grenade and decompose now gain 20% more radius per second up to a maximum of 80%. Oh shit, so they're tiny as fuck now. And this felt like really good. It like properly like rewarded you for waiting in a game where generally you don't want to wait, but that's not going to scale enough to care. And the cap at 6 also just breaks this entirely anyways. Ispa Impurity auras now apply to the player as well as their allies. Neat. The spread of grenade skills with more than one proj has been reduced by 40%. The spread of grenade skills with more than one proj has been reduced by 40%, but up at the top, they mentioned grenade spread has been increased with multi-proj in like a random way. So I'm not really sure how that's gonna feel. It's like this reduces the spread, the other thing like randomly increases the spread of some of them. Releasing Race Shield immediately after blocking a skill, performs a shield bash that damages and stuns enemies in front of you. And also dazes them if you're using a tower shield. A slight benefit to using Raise Shield. I feel like I only ever use Raise Shield on bosses for the most part, but depending on how big this is, this might be really good. Added a new gem tag conditional. Neat. Modifiers, adding or subtracting the value to the cost of the skill, not apply before multipliers for supports. Modifiers, adding or subtracting a value to the total cost of the skill are unchanged. So value to the cost is before, total cost is after. Astral Proj now causes skills to have less area, less of a penalty. Is this the one where like Nova things go to your cursor? Brutality nerfed. Bardic Inscription has a mana cost multiplier. Cannibalism, oh shit, only down to 2%. I thought it might have gone to 1. 4% was stupid. 2% is still really good. That's a, wow, massive mana cost multiplier. 130, this was 140, Jesus. Only 120 now. Yeah, it makes sure Nova's go on your cursor, right? Considered casting has an increased to cost multiplier. Control protection and extraction supports now quickly are not socketable into skills which had secondary damage hits but no spell damage hits. They were never skilling the damage, they were just incorrectly socketable. Extra mana cost multipliers. A nerf to exploit weakness. A buff to this little weird combo thing. Fist of War cost increased. A nerf to Hourglass. Mega Shockwave. Splash radius nerfed a little bit. Well, they buffed Fist of War's damage and just made the mana cost a little higher. Nerf to increase the area of effect. And it costs more. Nerf to mobility. What the hell? I don't know what that means. Does that mean it no longer reduces the duration? Scatter shot nerfed by a lot. It increased shot ground. Oh, okay, I see. Yeah, it still has less attack speed. The issue with these multi-proj things is they have to be balanced around overlapping abilities, and there's not really like an easy solution. But like, for any skill that doesn't overlap, you can just never use Scattershot. Like, you already kind of couldn't. Deadeye Stonks, amen. When I was playing, like, Gas Arrow Deadeye, Scattershot was, like, going from 3 arrows to 5 arrows with Scattershot was really not very good. It was, like, only a minor damage increase because of the 20% damage and speed penalty. At 35, you just wouldn't use it. You would just play 3 arrows instead. Shock Siphon can no longer be engraved, but existing copies still function. I wonder why Shock Siphon is being deleted in this way, but Grimfeast was fully deleted. This is just like one of the only other ways to recover energy shield in combat, so it's gone. Small nerf to exposure, and nerf to window of opportunity. They want to reintroduce Grimfeast later. Yeah, I guess that's true. Unique item changes. Against the Darkness Jewel now has a medium radius instead of large, and also nerf, make him worse with the Divine Orb. And they removed the percents on the small nodes and gave him this super low flat roll that's like nothing. Astra Menace, not nerfed, just bigger roll range, more Divine Orbs. Adzir Sustain Helmet nerfed because of Lich, very heavily nerfed. Cut in half on this. Car of the Storm, once again, procs Lightning Bolt. I assume this is because of a Temporalis change. Crown of the Victor, is this like a demigod? What is that? Or is this just like a random unique that has rarity on it? That is like a very minor rarity nerf. Dream Fragments, nerfed. Everlasting Gaze, cut in a 5th, nerfed by 80%. Look, I feel like my amulet giving me 7.8 thousand energy shield from 1 item slot was probably fine. Eye of Chile unique amulet no longer gives extra stun on the shield, it now provides cannot be light stunned. What else does Eye of Chile do? That's kind of nice. Firefly unique amulet now grants extra rarity. Ghost Wraith nerfed. Double nerf because you can't wear it with CI anymore. The Hand of Wisdom and Action unique gloves are now a unique claw. So what do we got? Half the amount of flat and like it's like what, like 60% less attack speed. Still godlike. It's still gonna give you more damage than any other pair of gloves can give you probably, right? Because gloves don't have that much damage in them. But yeah, level SOP. Ingenuity unique belt no longer has 40 to the 80, now has 30 to the 50 from equipped left ring and 30 to 50 from equipped right ring. So it doesn't work with the Ascendancy. And what did they nerf it to? Refresh? Oh shit. 20 to 30 from left, 20 to 30 from right. Now also has 2 charm slots, some weird charm shit, some more weird charm shit. I'm pretty sure it's still probably still the best belt. Like, think about what rolls on belts. Nothing. It's life and res and strength. That's it. There's nothing else. And rings can roll rarity and damage mods. Like once there's better unique belts in the game, or maybe like a modification to like the things that roll on belts, this isn't that much because 30 is just a low number. But like rings are just so much better than belts. Last time unique relic now has damage taken cannot be absorbed. I don't know what that one is. That is Temporalis. I assume these mechanics were also not losing. The Mahu Exalted Shield now has 100% increase effective socket soul cores. Instead of times almost, what, times 7.6, it's times 2. But you get Everlasting Sack. What does this do in PoE2? Is this like the 5% max res after your ES hits full stuff? This is the PoE1 version. Reach full ES, sacrifice all ES to get 5 matches for 4 seconds. And then for maintaining ES, what do you need? Like, is there flat ES on hit anywhere in this game? Like, Zeo would do it, but that's like a pain. You really don't want to do that. Ghost Dance if you're getting hit by enemies constantly. Just max res. Well, this is when the buff is active, but the Keystone is not the buff. This is granted by the Keystone, right? I'm not sure, but I think you still have to do the ES stuff. Melting Maelstrom Unique Flask just no longer randomly gives you all your mana back. The Morior something body armor now has 3 mods instead of 2. I don't know what that is. The following random modifiers can no longer roll. Oh, this is the chest from Arbiter? 3 mods instead of 2, but you can't get any of the mods that were good. What do you get instead? Like, what's still in the pool? Like, the res one is still good. Yeah, like, there's 7 new mods here that we don't know what they are, so. Oh, they killed my 50 spirit shield. Dude, they added the shield to the game that gives you spirit based on your max life. And then, like, realized there's already a shield that gave spirit, and then just removed the spirit from that other shield. The Cage God now provides half the speed and area that it used to, and half the damage. So, Hoa's nerfed by like 50% on damage, 2/3 on attack speed. Staff nerfed in half. Gimling also nerfed. Is that enough? It might not be enough, honestly. It's hard to know. Like, these in-game stat stackers probably did 100 times more DPS than my characters did, and I instantly killed everything. So like, I don't know. When the balance is that far off, it's honestly hard to even know like what it's gonna feel like after the changes. They had bells. Well, the good stat stacking builds killed the boss before they could drop bell. Queen of the Forest now grants 1% speed per 800 instead of per 500. Existing versions can be updated. Modifier can only scale with mod effect from corruption. So yes, slight nerf to, well, a pretty big nerf to Queen. Sandstorm, Visage, unique helmet now causes enemies to gain some crit weakness once per second for 15 seconds. I mean, this means that after 15 seconds of ramp, you actually do have like just full crit weakness ramped. Temporals now causes skills to have -2 to -1 instead of -4 to -2. So blink cooldown is what, like 3.5 seconds with like CDR support gem. You're still gonna be blinking a lot, but it's not gonna be like blasting off with blinks nonstop. Ventor's Gamble, slight nerf on the top end and bottom end. Slight nerf to some minion things. More nerfs to time loss jewels. Removal of buff effective war cries. Oh my god. Keep rate please. Nope. We don't do that here. Item changes. Not including all of these like really sucks. Because like all of the buffs to bad skills are literally included in this. They're included in this sentence. So like we're just gonna scroll through and look at all the things that were so egregious they had to be mentioned. But all the things that like you would normally get excited about, like shittier skills getting better, are just in this sentence and hidden until the data mines come out. Did they buff something? Absolutely yes. A lot of the shittier skills for sure got buffed. Where are we at? Item changes. Jeweler's Orbs now set a schedule to have that number of sockets rather than adding, so you don't have to have a 5 link to 6 link. They fixed all the naming conventions of things to remove advanced and expert. Runes do weird shit, but there's more runes. Can't get random ones, they just go +1 tier. Using a value bundle item can no longer cause a modifier with a value of 1 to go to 0. Yeah, we saw this on some uniques where like they would, like certain mods could be removed from uniques with valing, which is obviously was never intended. Base damage of all bows is an increase for crossbows. Crossbows also have 2 versions of added damage modifiers. Crossbows OP, log in, play crossbows. Grenades got their cooldown doubled for some of them, so like maybe don't play those, but surely some of the crossbow skills are going to be good. XD, increased rarity of items found modifiers and items have been lowered at the top end by like 20%. Golden Charm slight nerf, Breach Rings nerfed, and you get way less of them, so it's way harder to craft good ones because you can't, craft one item in this game. Notable passive skills can no longer be instilled. Oh, interesting. Added the new jewel modifiers that provide some benefits to passive skills. Added the tree, such as companion set increase max life. So it's going to be harder to roll good jewels. Jewel and time loss jewel modifiers that provided stats scarcely located on the passive skill tree, such as increased blind effect or have been adjusted. Alright, they didn't mention movement speed, but like, I wonder if Mooseed only has 1% now instead of 2%. Increased effective auras, can only roll on jewels, and they nerfed quiver mods on jewels by a lot, from 15 to 6. And there also just aren't jewel sockets on the edge of the tree anymore, so who cares about jewels anyways? Energy gain slightly buff, no, slightly nerf, sorry. The rarity, Soul Core is not in the game anymore. Nerfed corrupting jewels for implicits. Damn, you could corrupt helmets and rings to get 2% regen. That's sick. Used to be able to. Minions nerfed at the high end, but they can make their presence thing higher because they've nerfed base presence down to 4 instead of 6. Max mana nerfed. Max mana nerfed. The first 2 tiers of added LA damage weapons can have their values lowered. I assume this means the early game tiers, or like Act 1 stuff, because weapons are too important in the early game. Added that damage modifiers are just nerfed across the board. I feel like the flat damage across the board was kind of weak. The relic modifier that causes just to have additional option. Yeah, this was it can be ruined using a divine orb. Yeah, it was silly how easy it was to get all the boons from merchants with these things. But that was a pretty decent change to that power. Monster changes. Bosses that need to perform certain actions to progress their fight, but they'll become immune to damage if life is brought. Significant cost to point. which that action should be used. It should have no noticeable effect on most players. It will prevent cases where they can be crowd controlled and prevent the fight from progressing. Armor on all monsters reduced. Guys, it's melee time. Titan, maces, log in. Soul Eater on monsters. Oh my fucking god, it's here. Soul Eater no longer makes them just unbelievable 90% less damage taken assholes. And they're not going to be super fast either. Soul Eater, like an actual normal modifier now. The life of the boss has been adjusted. At low difficulties, they have half the life. At 4, they're still rough. Ultimatum and Sanctum bosses have been cut in half for their HP because they were just bugged, and not really bugged, but there was a mistake and they accidentally were doubled. Volume bosses no longer have armor pen. Good, good, good. Guys, armor's coming back. It was like the big like Zesh slam. It was it like 30% overwhelm or something? It's like it's a big fizz hit, which lowers the value of your PDR, and then it has 30% overwhelm. So like it was so silly that these had this, but it's good. They're gone. Like big fizz hits having overwhelm is like double dipping on the fact that the big fizz hit already makes your armor worthless. But that's nice. Armor a little better. Lower the damage conversion to other elements for some skills used by Arbiter Vash and Olroth, making player armor a little better. Arbiter Vash now has a tapering less damage taken buff for the right amount of time. Arbiter Vash does increase damage with select few abilities. A lot of the Arbiter Vash's like normal abilities, like his little like filler abilities, did like nothing. Like they were just so pitiful. They did no damage. And like he only really cared about his one-shots. So that's good. Scourge of the Skies has increased damage on its vomit abilities. Is this the thing that vomited on Quinn? Well, is this one of the things that vomited on Quinn? So some buffs to ultimatum bosses. Dodge rolled less damage on the Silver Fist. Some reduced damage on a lot of the movement abilities of monsters. Increased damage on Olroth's little dash thing. Changed resistances on this little boss. Oh yeah, that was weird that you could block that in the first place. Monsters now have higher light stun damage scaling with level. In the very early parts of the campaign, there is no change, scaling to twice as much light stun damage in the endgame. What does that mean? What is light stun damage scaling? They're more likely to stun you? That's what it sounds like. Unbreaking. It was honest before you're playing Katava. Yes, sir. Lower the max number of monsters that could be alive at once in ritual encounters. Electrocute builds up slower. Pen builds up slower. Magic enemies are proper stun at half. Rare at 16 to get 70. Bone Shatter buff. Bone Shatter buff. Melee is not banned. Scroll to the bottom. Nope, I don't want to. Bone Shatter. Log in. Added a series of enhanced rare monster modifiers that are more powerful than the standard versions and more rewarding. So kind of like the God mechanics in Path of Exile 1. Like possessed by like Brine King or whatever. Just those things, I assume. Some rare monster modifiers now scale at later levels, providing better rewards. Kill the monster, get the loot. The Trent Fungory Ritual monster now correctly deals damage. Huh. But Miller's charge now pushes players sideways instead of carrying them along. We'll see about that. The lethal rare monsters now grants rare modifiers and additional modifier instead of 2. I think that's an ultimatum mod. Rare monster minions have been made stronger defensively and now scale more appropriately in party play. Powerful minions modifiers have been reduced to compensate. So minions are going to be tankier. The guaranteed magic monsters near the exit of the dreadnought will only respawn when you spawn at checkpoint if you have killed them. You little respawn at checkpoint abusers. Various fungal themed monsters now have a resistance to cold and vulnerable to fire. Burn the blight. Slightly reduce the damage dealt and number of proj fired by. This is the bird and ultimatum that killed everyone with the tornado. I think they already nerfed that though and made it like a 4-second wind up instead of a 2-second wind up. Oh, they just deleted the tentacle grab skill from these guys. The Sump map boss has been renamed from the Eater of Children to Braca, the Withered Crone. She still eats children. Patrolling things can no longer be put in essences. Improve monster behavior. You must not open the gates where you can advance the Ascendancy power quest with one being able to travel to the trial. When do you open the gates? Isn't that after you kill like all 3 of those like zones bosses? Isn't this after you get the tusks and kill right after Babala, killing Jamanra? Open the gates. Is Jamonra when you open the gates? Because like you try to open the gates, but the third gate is broken. I assume it's after killing Jamonra, is my guess. Which is like one extra zone. User interface changes. Spectate party members if you died in combat. Pan the overlay when using a controller. Ooh, an indicator. Nice. Good. This was always pretty annoying that when you hovered over the skill, it just didn't say anything. You have some actual information on your UI. Ritual reward menu now pauses the game. Some random little improvements in visibility, readability. A bunch of empty access now work. Bug fixes. Yeah, you already could pause, but you had to like open your like passive tree or some shit, right? And then open the menu. Fix the bug where skills that allow movement during actions wouldn't apply their slow at full effect if used with higher values of attack cast speed or not held down. Fix the bug where skills that allow movement during their actions wouldn't apply their slow at full effect if used with higher values of attack or cast speed and not held down. Fuck. That wasn't a bug. It's one of those classic things. Like, the way that it works is when you start using a skill, your character begins to decelerate to a point, but if your cast time is so fast that the deceleration duration is short, then you don't slow down. That's kind of just expected behavior, that if you invest into speed, you are given speed. And then when you cast an ability, if you physically were not holding it down, it would slow you less even if you only cast once. The part about with higher attack or cast speed makes me think it's not that. I'll just wait and just log in after the patch and see what it feels like and hope it's not what I think it is. Fixed it over, you could unreserve and re-reserve minions to resummon them instantly. Weird, canceling a skill with something would cause the player to gain flame. When enter stage, weird abuse stuff. Everything's crossbows. Yep, just play crossbows. Crossbows already got slowed down to the full effect because all of their skills are like channeled skills. So fuck it, crossbows. Log in. This is Sanctum, right? I wonder how much worse this is gonna feel. Like, is this only nerfing it in scenarios where it obviously wasn't intended to ever work? Like skipping walls you couldn't walk around? Or will it also make it so like pebbles block you? Hopefully it's the first one. Fixed a bug where effects that consume shocks could only consume a single shock at once. If the target has multiple active shocks, they now consume from all of them. Does this mean Lightning Conduit is doing half the damage it should have been doing? Fixed a bug that would cause shield-based attacks to not deal damage. Wonkiness of skills using flasks. You could second wind demon form and just repeatedly re-enter it. Nice. Spark is fine. Yeah, log in, play it. Fixed a bug where Proj that cannot change to lightning arrow or chaining off the terrain. I didn't know lightning arrow couldn't chain. If the arrow chained off the walls if you had it was like an anoint, right? Or no, it was a support, I think Ricochet worked or some shit. Fixed a bug that caused various aftershock things that were intended to apply to your skills to also apply to skills used by totems. But don't totems use your skills? Or is that different than PoE2, I guess? Totem is not you. Shockwave was not scaling with area modifiers. Log in. This is a nerf to Heft. Like, Heft was working like pre-conversion, so you could use it on convert skills. God damn, there's a lot of bugs. Crossbows are gonna reload faster if you have attack speed. On the crossbow, another crossbow buff. Fixed a bug where using demon form would kill your minions when using a controller. Someone was trying to get into my door, and I was like, "What the fuck? It's kind of weird." It was just It was my neighbor. My downstairs neighbor was on the wrong floor. It was just some old dude. Not that old. I think he's like 50s or 60s. No, not drunk. He wasn't drunk. Let him in. Ask him about the patch notes. Oh fuck, we're almost there. I don't want to read all these out loud because most of them don't matter. I'm kind of just skimming. He wanted the hug after all the nerfs. I didn't give him one. Please read. Fixed a bug where the Holy Descent and Shocking Leap support gems would not enable area, duration, or ground effect related support gems to support the skill. Support the skill. Fixed a bug where the Arbiter Bash boss fight could be paused. This happened a lot for me. I think it's a streamer client fix. Fixed a bug where players could get out of bounds. Fix the bug where slowing the Arbiter while they were using their Flame Drop Beam Slam combo skill could cause certain parts of the skill to overlap. I assume this had to do with if you made the boss go slower, the time before the Flame Drop exploded would then overlap with the beam or something. Although the Slam combo I think is a different circle. Does that happen to Mathel? No, I think with the Mathel one was where the boss uses the Flame Drop like ×8 at the end of phase 1, and then you phase the boss, and the last Flame Drop explosion happens once the boss is already active in phase 2, and the boss first ability in phase 2 was the Flame Drop Beam Slam, while there were already Flame Drops from phase 1 still there. I don't know if they fixed that one. Fix the bug where Kosis could lose his swords. Unable to open a portal in the Sump Map boss after killing the boss. Some weird Val Foundry stuff. Did I crossbows the go-to? One thing that I'm a little concerned about is just defense on that. And like you really don't need to be Deadeye for crossbows. Just because +1 proj is actually not that good. It's okay, but it's like it's not really that good for Deadeye, I don't think, or for crossbows. I forgot how did +1 proj affect galvanic beams? Because like +1 proj for shock burst basically means you don't have to reload like ever. It just like doubles the amount of things in your clip, which means you can't use fresh round, which like, you know, is kind of a downside. It made it fire 7 instead of 6 and 2 beams instead of 1, so it's very good for galvanic coverage and not important, and it's like meh for shock burst. That actually is pretty good for galvanic coverage. That is pretty strong. And like the coverage on galvanic's insane. If they don't nerf galvanic and shock burst by a lot, that's gonna be top tier still, for sure. Alright, what else we got? They nerfed some mini builds that did buff others. They kind of fucked up by not including full gem information. So like, there's basically like 200 lines of text that just weren't included in this, that included all of the damage tuning of like every single skill in the game. And that just isn't in the patch notes. And that's where any of the buffs would be. It's where they are. Yeah, like some of the buffs made it into these patch notes, like Rolling Slam, Sunder, attack time buffs. But like all like damage effectiveness buffs just like weren't included. They fixed an interaction with Sunder with aftershocks that wasn't supposed to happen. That part of Galvanic Shard is the initial part of Galvanic Shard, not the beam. The beam chain already has 100% lightning. But that does help with shocking a little bit, but you're still going to use bows to shock. You couldn't Greater Essence an item if it had a rune in there. That's funny. Wait, what? This is a totally different change to Overcharge. You reflect shocks back to yourself. Okay, so you just don't use the support anymore unless you're immune to shock. I guess it does make self-shocking a lot easier. And there is that one mechanic that is stronger if the ailment's already on you. It's one of the new support gems. Unfortunately, like, this line right here is like 75% of the patch notes. In terms of like how important they are, how much they matter. Maybe more than 75%. Really 90% is the patch notes, is this line. So we just don't really know anything. Yep, changes have been made. Well, we wait for the data mine.